Hello, everyone, and welcome to Co-Connecting Real-Time Digital Experience with Tinycast Co. I'm Felicia Chenko, the founder and partner of Tinycast Co., as well as the 2020 NCLF Media Chair. I'm so excited to bring everyone together. This is actually the unofficial after party for 2020 NCLF, where we celebrated 9 days of over 30 programs of programs based on the Asian API Unity, the power of we. The four different tracks that we had was we are diverse, we are compassionate, we are empowered, and we are in the future. And I'm so excited to be bringing some guests along with me with the Tinycast journey, basically, which has started back in when shelter in place happened. And I can't believe that it's been basically 6 months where we have been feeling this stark departure of not being able to be with each other and connecting in real life. But I want to say that it is possible to continue to co-connect. And the reason why I call it co-connecting is kind of based on the idea of co-working. Co-working, as many of you know, is the practice of going to an open office space and working together, maybe not on the same projects, but in the same space, and trying to hustle out here. And so I wanted to bring that same spirit when it means to connect. And although we aren't together physically, we can still connect through these digital means and these digital spaces, and that's really what the work of Tinycast has been these past 6 months. And so I'm excited to bring up my first guest here, Miss Jen Louie. She is, as she calls herself, an event chameleon. I worked with her for the past 2 years, ranging from Undiscovered, and I love her at 7th West as the general manager. And at some point, I used to call her mom because she is just a great spirit to be so nurturing to me. And so I'm happy to bring up Miss Jen Louie. Here we go. Hey, Jen, how you doing?
Hi. Good. How are
Hi,
you?
how I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, Dan, I kind of wanted to start the conversation about, kind of the work that we were really in, right? Doing events together. I don't think that we ever thought that events in person would ever just disappear like this. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Um, a lot of thoughts on that. I mean, with Seven West, we were ready for the summer. Like we planned a summer calendar. I'm in charge of all the bookings. We were ready to go, but unfortunately, quarantine happened, so everything shifted. Being in bar, restaurant, and also in events, which is the two fields I'm in, pretty much immediately shut down. So it's an interesting journey, but luckily I had a friend of mine, Jay Tran, that actually wanted to do this project Inside Lands. Basically, we knew that all of our artists and creative friends are now in need of a space to be. All their jobs are pretty much cut off. We're trying to figure out how to raise funds for them. So Inside Lands pretty much happened literally the first full day of quarantine. And we did it every day for 109 days. So definitely a major shift going from seeing people and hosting thousands of people live events to doing everything digital and seeing everything on a screen. But with that being said, I think there's a lot of new opportunities surfacing because of it. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks you for sharing that with me. And I want to say that, I was so honored to be part of the opening hosts lineup for Inside Lands, and I really believe that was actually like my first touch point with coming back to digital events. It was. I remember specifically you saying that you'll be fine, you'll be great, just bring the energy, it'll come through. And I really do believe that. So I mean, can you tell me a little bit of some of the programs that you've done that were maybe highlights for you on Inside Lands?
Oh man, we've talked about favorite moments. There's definitely a few, and prom is probably our most creative one. We created this adult prom. Like not any of us are of age to go to prom anymore, but we decided it would be fun, and we got really creative. We thought outside the box. We did like like a photo booth. We were able to create like a breakout room with Zoom. So we kind of explored a little bit more of like the possibilities of what we can and cannot do. And so that was one really fun moment, and really memorable. God, we raised a good, I think we over $1,000 that day, for 4 different causes. We wanted to focus on education organizations. So we do, outside of creatives, kind of use our money to donate to others in need. That's really one highlight. Another one would be the it's bangers only. So they're kind of like a burner group. I didn't know what to expect. Personally, it's not my cup of tea for music, but they put on a full show. They did cooking, like just your late night munchies, to fire dancing, to someone's doing aerial. Like it was a whole production. So we love the takeover days just because we see how people work and the creativity that they bring forth to our branding, and it's just really enlightening to see those opportunities and that happen in front of us.
Yeah, I mean, like it's kind of a topic around what people are able to do on an individual point, because since everyone is so away from each other, but we're still trying to bring everyone together. It's like, okay, yes, I can do this show, and you know what? I'm gonna do fire dancing, And like I remember myself, like when Inside Lands gave me the opportunity to uplift, Feist Tea, and I did a boba making demo, and I was like, all right, Kevin, grab this phone, and we're gonna have this second shot, and we're gonna do 2 shots here, and it's just a lot of fun to see like what people are so creative on and want to share from their own individual areas, and like that in itself is like so special, getting that like inside look into people. And so I definitely think that was a great way to facilitate that. And I wanted to add as well, like I really appreciated the infrastructure that you had to support artists, like for those first couple of weeks, as being a host or a performer, I received funds from Inside Lands to be able to support me as work slowed down, as things were shifted. And, I will never forget that first initial dollars that, even now that I feel that I'm a little bit more settled in the work here, I've been taking that money and like donating to other places. So it does really feel like a pay it forward experience. Yeah, and so I mean, I want to know more about like what was the intention behind that, and then where did that grow into, and what was the kind of impact you saw there?
It was really beautiful to see. I mean, because we started so early on of quarantine, we were really the first ones to do it, and on a daily programming. I don't think anyone has done 109 days worth of programming, but it was just crazy. I mean, as you know, 2020 has been crazy, and we had to move with the ebbs and flow. There were, we tried to, when Riona like happened and everything else with Black Lives Matter happened, we shifted and pivoted our whole programming. We focused on workshops and try to raise funds for orgs that are in need in that area. So we try to shift as we go, based off of the communities that are in need. And then in terms of how everything shifted, I mean, there's been opportunities that surfaced through Inside Lands as a digital producer, which is great. I had the opportunity to digitally produce Oakland Pride, and that was a journey. And that was probably my first big gig as a digital producer. So really, really fortunate to have these experiences and to learn more about the new world that's to come, because digital producing is not going to end. I think it's just going to go hand in hand with real life events. So.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I was gonna uplift that. Yeah, it was so great to see you be working on the Oakland Pride digital event. I saw the mountain of work that was and how you navigated it. And I'm just like so grateful to like have you as part of my orbit and part of the Tinycast team. And so I just want to say thank you again, Jen, for all the work that you've done with me and being open to like having me as part of your community and as well as supporting me as I do this work as well. And of course, I would not be any more grateful because of the connection that you gave me with our next guest. And I'll go ahead and say goodbye to you now then. Our next
Thank
guest here,
you.
am, of course, thank you. See you in a bit. Yeah, so our next guest here is actually a connection that I got through Jen. Jen, for a long time, was the guest coordinator for CAM for their CAM Fest, CAM being the Center for Asian American Media. And so I'm really excited to be bringing on Don Young, who's the director of programs at CAM. Don, I'm going to go ahead and bring you up here. How you doing today?
Hi, Felicia.
Hey, well, Don, I just wanted to talk to you about the shift that Cam has had to do in these past 6 months. I mean, I feel like we've coming in a little context here. You know, when I first joined Cam as a contractor to support Cam Fest, I actually came in as the guest coordinator and travel
Right.
coordinator. And I remember that very day that I had a conversation with Masashi saying, are we sure that that's going to be a thing, you know? And so, I mean, tell me about that process that Cam had to go through, like maybe coming in from end of February through March to make the key decisions to go online.
Sure. Well, I'm happy to be here, and for us and working with you, it's been quite a year, right? So we always knew, Cam. We always knew that 2020 was going to be an important year because the election's happening, but also this PBS series that we'd been working on since 2012, we knew was going to broadcast this year, right? So for the better part of a year, we've been planning literally dozens of in-person screenings, right? Local, regionally based events with PBS stations and community organizations. And I was in New York when the first cases of COVID were discovered in Manhattan, I think the first weekend of March. And at that moment, later that week, it was really clear that we were not going to be able to do in-person events, right? Additionally, our kids' school in the South Bay were already on emergency alert. So, really quickly, we had a sense, out of consideration for public health, that we were going to change everything, right? And initially, I think all of us were really panicked, obviously stressed out, anxious, and really, I think frustrated that we weren't going to be able to bring together the events, the public in-person events as we initially envisioned them. CamFest also being an important part of it, but actually, in a couple of weeks, and partially through working with you, we discovered that we should just pivot and really accept the responsibility of designing new programming events in this really difficult, treacherous time. In the context, yeah, in the context of really difficult, um, uh, hello, in the context, of really difficult work, we pivoted and converted to digital programming, predominantly Zoom events, and it's been a really positive, transformative time.
I mean, I remember the experience that it was seemingly like I wasn't sure. Like I wanted to support Cam as much as possible, even if that meant I had to bow out at the position. And like the opportunity arose where essentially, I had experience with webcasts for a lean startup company, and we try to like make that work for Cam. And I remember working with you on the digital town hall and and Asian Americans, like the full push of that. And that whole experience was just so amazing to really see. And I think that really gave me my legs for Tinycast. And so, I would love for you to kind of share the story with the digital town hall, and then also like just moving towards the other town halls that we had with APIA votes. If you could talk a little bit more
Sure,
about that.
sure. Hmm. Yeah. So, and what a ride it's been basically since March until present day, right? So, around, so we had a broadcast for our PBS show in early May in Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And we wanted to do a digital town hall that addressed a lot of the concerns and anti-Asian racism that was emerging around COVID, right? So we brought together a slate of folks who appeared in the series producer, uh, one of the narrators, Tamla Tomita, and some other really important community leaders like Darren Walker from the Ford Foundation. And it was a really cathartic moment in which, on the one hand, all of us were grappling with being sheltering in place. I think for a lot of folks, that end of April event was really the first time where we could start to see this unlocking of really embracing the new platform, Zoom, vMix, different technologies, and using it as an opportunity to publicly program and bring in people who candidly might be really hard to get in person, even if lockdown wasn't happening, right? So that first event we hosted on Facebook Live, and we had about 30,000 views. I think we peaked at around 3 or 4,000 live viewers, and it really was a taste of what was possible. Literally right after, I think literally actually during that event, APIA Vote reached out to us, a really important leading civic engagement group in our community, and they asked us, in really short order, to collaborate with them on their presidential town hall. Right. So we, of course, Christine Chen, who's on our board, we were excited to see what was possible. Early on, we knew they were trying to reach out to Vice President Biden, and we're also reaching out to the Trump campaign, and really wanted to engage both campaigns to see what was possible. I think it became really apparent that there was going to be a digital event, and as we were racing towards the event itself, we were trying out new uh, 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 platforms like self-recording cell phone videos, hosting Zoom meetings with the campaigns. Vice President Biden was obviously in the East Coast. The Trump campaign surrogate was in Guam, and it was really just experiment as you go. And then additionally, we figured out how to partner with NBC Asia America, the PBS NewsHour. We were fortunate with both of those events to have Amna Nawaz from the PBS NewsHour, and we just really hit the ground running, trying to see what was possible, trying to not stress out too much in regards to not being able to control what was possible. And even in just between April and July, the platforms were really changing, right? I think Zoom was being able to more robustly handle video streaming. We were all figuring out how to schedule out events. And I think even between April and July, we were accelerating how much content and conversations could happen in the live events. And I think at this point where we are now, we all feel very confident and comfortable, like sort of programming live events, really live TV as you go, right? So I think it's been really fulfilling. And I imagine after lockdown happens, whenever it does happen, these digital live events will be a real permanent part of what CAM does, I think what the community does. And it's been, I knew after April that this was going to be a historically important time to pivot and to sort of accept the challenges of these new uh, opportunities through which to engage the public through different platforms, and to bring in, really higher tier, great guests who, before you had to work with their assistants and fly them out, and you just don't know what was possible. We were never going to get Vice President Biden in-person event with in-person event with the robust interaction that we had, um, and it was really just historic, and has transformed, what we can imagine in terms of what we can all do together as an event.
Yes, well, thank you so much for sharing that, Don. It really does feel like essentially using the digital space and moving our programs digitally, it's just a tool to already support what is already robust programming that has been with CAM. And so, it's really great to really see that, like, just because events will be coming into person, as Jen said as well, it will be either in tandem with digital events, or we'll just go digital completely, depending on what the opportunities are there. So I want to say thank you
Absolutely.
again, first and foremost, for joining us today, and of course for all the opportunities that you've sent over to Tinycast. We really, really appreciate it. So I'll go ahead and
No,
catch you some other time,
it's
Don.
been an exciting time, and we look forward to working together for many years.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Don. And as I go ahead and transition over to my next guest, with let me see here really quick. With the work that I've been doing with CAM, and had spent a couple of months with them, completing the contract that I had for CamFest as a digital producer, I was actually able to meet such a wide array of people. Mostly, at first, it was other film organizations and media organizations, but through that, I was actually able to connect to an amazing organization called the Climate Museum. And one thing that we're really, really passionate about at Tinycast is aligning with things that we believe in. And so, as Jen has mentioned with Black Lives Matter, and as Dawn had mentioned with the API community and needing to be heard during a very momentous year, I'm also so excited to be working with the Climate Museum, who's who actually will have Trisha speak more about this organization, but really is taking climate and climate action and climate policy and trying to bring that to the forefront so that we can start making actions on that. So Trisha, I'm going to go ahead and bring you on here. Hi, Trisha. How you doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining. And Trisha, I wanted to start off here about Climate Museum, of course, to hear more about what you do and sharing that with our guests. But also, I want to talk about Climate Speaks and the challenges that you ran up to producing that as you came into 2020, and what was a shelter in place.
Okay, sure. Thanks. So I'm Trisha Brown. I'm with the Climate Museum. We're based in New York, and we've been offering public programming since 2017. And our museum's mission is to inspire action on the climate crisis with programming across the arts and sciences that deepens understanding, builds connections, and advances just solutions. And we do that through exhibitions and youth arts programs and public programs, education programs like a very, very large high school internship program. And we do it through Climate Week, which is actually this week right now. And we've just launched our first online virtual volunteer program, and that will be continuing as an online docent program after Climate Week. So that's a little bit about who we are. And we first, Fairy Godmother basically kind of introduced us to Tinycast at a time when we didn't know what we didn't know about the digital event space. And so we were working on a program. Our Climate Speaks is our signature youth arts program. This is the second year, and it's a 6-month training program for New York City high school students. They do a series of workshops around climate science, climate arts, social justice that intersects with climate, and then they get into writing and performance. And they do that through a series of workshops, and they also work with one-on-one with teaching artists. So we were having a series of workshops all winter and early spring. Everything was fine. Then, of course, shelter in place, no more workshops in person. And we basically just took our best shot at taking our workshops and adapting them for Zoom. And I just want to add here that we're a small office. We don't have an IT person. And our way of learning Zoom at that point, none of us knew how to use Zoom at that point in March. We basically just Googled, how to use Zoom, how to use Zoom for a meeting, how to use Zoom for a webinar. We didn't know, and we didn't even know what we didn't know, so we couldn't even ask good questions at that point. So we were plodding along, having these workshops, doing our best, and then we realized that we kind of stagger along, it would be all right, but it wasn't going to be the impact that we wanted. And what we were looking for was that last year at Climate Speaks, the 14 finalists performed on the stage of the famous Apollo Theater in Harlem. It was an extraordinary night, and mostly because the students were out of this world, fantastic, and their passion and their energy in performing their spoken word about the the climate crisis really moved people to be hopeful and inspired and motivated to act. And putting out a call to action is the central part of our mission. So we wanted to see, how can we really do that now that we have to have the workshops and everything online? How are we going to really replicate that call to action? And we decided, okay, we're going to do a live stream, and we'll just figure out Zoom, and we'll put the students reading poetry and their short creative writing pieces from their bedroom on Zoom. And then we thought, this is going to be just the least dynamic event. It's not going to be interesting. It's not going to call people to action. It's going to look like what it is: a bunch of kids in New York reading poetry in their bedroom about the climate crisis and being angry about it. And we wanted a lot more of a dynamic program, and we wanted the audience to really be engaged. So in comes Felicia and Tinycast, and the kinds of questions she asked us from the very first meeting really pushed us in the best, most creative way, because we didn't even know all of the ways that we could use Zoom as a platform to reach an audience. And the first thing she did was teach us how to do something on Zoom that gets slung over to YouTube. So the end result of that was that we had a few hundred people watching the live stream live. We've had about 1,500 watching it on YouTube. So it really expanded our reach, which was critical. And she also introduced the idea of the studio audience, which was the most fun, interactive thing. It changed the whole broadcast. And what it was, basically, our host, which is a guy named Darian Deshawn, who's an actor and a climate writer and lots of things, he really led the audience. We had friends and family of the poets in a green room. And every time a poet would finish reading or a writer would finish speaking about their work, he would have them raising the roof, which is a way to show online applause, or he would have them doing some other kind of crazy motion. And he just kept the audience moving. So you didn't feel like you just heard a student. You heard a student, and then it was as though you were there, because you would cut over the studio audience. They were going crazy. They were doing motions. There was music. Darian was moving things around. So there were all these different elements coming into play. And in addition, Tinycast taught us how to use the chat and really integrate the chat to boost more chat messages, and also to pull that chat into the broadcast. So those things really helped to elevate the show. It was exceptionally well received. It felt dynamic. We went on to do 2 more workshops last week, which were training workshops for 2 other programs: our Climate Ambassador Card, which teaches people how to have climate conversations, and Climate Art for Congress, which is a student outreach program where kids K through 12th grade write to members of Congress and tell them their climate demands or climate wishes for the future, for future legislation. And in both of those training workshops, by working with Tinycast, they offered us this amazing run of show template document, which changed our lives, because it teaches you how to go through a broadcast. It teaches you the things you have to think about, and how you can use video and music and interesting visual assets and the chat, and the use of the reactions in Zoom, and the use of varied speakers, and the uses of very smooth segues to really make it a very vibrant workshop. So you don't just have one person talking about a certain climate museum program. You have a series of people in a live show in a way that really invites the audience in. And the key part about our work with Tinycast is really that we're trying to prompt people to action. We're trying to get our public engaged and interested and excited. And if we did not have this benefit of working with Tinycast, we just wouldn't, frankly, know how to do it. And since we're going to be in this situation for a long while, we're not destined to go back to our exhibition space until sometime, at least mid next year, and we'll see how it goes. So for now, this is the space we're occupying for all of our public programming, and we put out a lot. We actually have one tomorrow on COVID's lessons for climate. It's a panel discussion. So, and we're going to keep producing events with Tinycast, because we just can pull our audience in a way that makes them feel like part of the museum and prompts them to action, which is really what's been key for us. So that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you so much, Trish, for all of that. That was so amazing. I really appreciate, it really did feel like the way we built together these past couple of months has been so amazing. I was Climate Museum and Climate Speaks was probably the first one where I was thinking, wow, like I oftentimes challenge my clients to think about, what can we do to close the doors on the venue that is the digital
Mhm.
space. If we're going to invite people to Zoom, if we're inviting them to YouTube, once they're there with us, we also need to know how to host them. And I remember
Mhm.
the very strong feeling that I had between, wow, the last time Climate Speaks was in the Apollo. Okay, here we go. Like, and
Very, very
it's
high
a
bar for sure.
very high bar, and we are just Tinycast. So, we just built. I have to say, a lot of the amazing work that came out of it is also the amazing team that Climate Museum is. Like, you have been so open to my sometimes radical thoughts and ways to think about things, and I really appreciate just being able to put our flavor on these things, or to challenge you all. Even you coming onto vMix today is the first time that Climate Museum has done it, and we're doing it tomorrow. So I'm really excited to be sharing this technology and continuously upgrading, because yes, as Don said, Zoom has been able to grow and things like that, but really what we want to do is focus on the production value and making sure that the things that we're putting on is in line aesthetically, brand wise. All of these are aligned with what our clients want and what the Climate Museum wanted. So I think that was really our first touch point of being able to say, all right, like, let's get everyone off of Zoom. Let's just keep moving people to these softwares and these other tools. There are so many out there. That to make sure that we're supporting what the program that you would like to do, and the kind of connection that
Right.
you would like to upkeep. And so I guess, Trisha, to close out here, I just want to know, like, what is, like, Climate Museums, like, what does the next 3 to 6 months look like for y'all?
Oh my goodness. Too soon to say, actually, but I do know, as I mentioned, our exhibition hub, we won't open it again until, it's a safer time to be able to do that kind of programming. So we're always offering public panels. We're always offering workshops for students. We're going to have another youth program modeled on Climate Speaks that's going to launch in this new school year. And so the specifics are too soon to talk about, but in general, in those three main areas, our programming will always be online and definitely enhanced by the tools and the skills that you've given us, and the kind of like creative push and shove, some loving shove that allows us to do really much better work than we could have done when we were just a bunch of people Googling how to use Zoom in a room. So we
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Amazing. Yes. Well, I'm so glad. I'm so excited for the show tomorrow. We're bringing everyone over to our studio here, and more to come, certainly. So thank you so much, Trish, for the time. I'll definitely see
Yeah.
you tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Felicia.
Thank you. All right. And as I transition over now, I kind of want to bring some other key folks here for the Tinycast team. I'm going to bring them in here. Tinycast is definitely not a one-woman show by any means. We definitely have a team here of people who are supporting me thus far. And one of the key people here is actually Scott, who I'm going to bring in. Scott is our engineer in charge here. Hey, Scott, how you doing?
I'm all right. Can you hear me?
You're all right. Yes, we can. We can hear you.
Okay.
Scott oftentimes is what I call the wizard behind the curtain, and running all these things. Oftentimes when I say Scott's name, I look up into the sky, because I know that his voice will come in to help me through whatever we're going through in that production. So Scott, I just want to give you a few minutes here to talk about, what has been your journey. I know it's been years and years coming along
Oh,
to this point here. So yeah, Scott, go ahead and take it off.
oh boy, where to begin? Um, I've been doing live streaming and webcasting since 2011. Um, the bulk of my experience has been with multi-camera, complex productions based around sports, mostly. I did sports for years. In fact, when the lockdown happened, I was pulling my hair out because I was busy building out production kits so that we could do 6 football games each Saturday during the 10-week season of a semi-pro football league here in Colorado. And I was up to here in preparation, getting ready to go, and just everything. And then it all came down, locking down and crashing down. And it took me a little bit longer to accept reality than most. I'll admit that, because it was not easy. I'm not, but it eventually I did, and one of the first remote productions I did was the presidential debate, and it was a lot of fun. Or not debate. It was just more of a
Town hall.
town hall joint, concession press conferences, or monologuing really is what it was, but that's okay. And that was a lot of fun, and actually it was a bucket list item for me, to be honest. To do For years I've been saying I wanted to shift and do some politics, and I didn't really care. I didn't care one side or the other. I wanted to play on both sides of the street, and just to do town halls and debates, and do something other than sports, because after a number of years and 1,500 games, I started wanting to expand, and so we did, and so getting the opportunity to get that gig, and I didn't know what the gig was actually when I booked it, but when I got it, I was just like, okay, that's a bucket list item, because I'd wanted to do something at the presidential level for like 5 years. And so to get Vice President Biden in on a show was amazing. That was great. And, and then we just have done a number of shows since, a wide variety. That evening was also one of my first experiences with Zoom to that level. And Felicia completely carried my butt that night. But yeah, and that was an eye-opener for me, because I had kind of dismissed Zoom up until that point as a nice toy to talk to grandma with, or to your sales rep in Idaho, kind of thing. But it's come a long way. They're right. It has come a long way, and for some folks, it is a good tool. I won't get on my soapbox about it, I promise. I'll just say that there are times when it steps on your video and sound quality, and I totally understand why that happened. They had over tenfold growth in usage in a matter of days. So that's not the kind of infrastructure you can absorb and adjust for quickly. So it took them a while, and it's better. I introduced this platform to Felicia, and she enjoyed it, because it gives us a lot more control, and it gives us ISO shots, meaning individual shots for each participant. We can bring them in individually, both picture and sound, and we can do things with it that we can't with Zoom or Google Hangouts or Skype or some of the others. But I'm constantly evaluating platforms. This is not perfect. But if you knew the engineering team and who all was involved and how few people there are on that team, you'd be amazed with how amazing with this is. They don't really have a very big production team. So, and he's a genius, crazy guy down in Australia. But he, it's just been amazing. But like I said, everything's evolving. And if we truly are going to be doing this for the next 12 to 24 months, I'm going to cry, because I miss being in a stadium. As much as I was like, I want to do something else besides sports, I didn't want to give up sports.
Right.
It's a lot of fun sitting in the booth, cutting a show, from 5 different cameras, plus bringing replay in, and making sure the assistants feed stats to the announcers, and it can get really complex, and it's a ball. I love it. But it's such a dance, honestly, you can get lost into it, and I've been laughed at by my camera operators, because more than one occasion, while we're loading the truck up, I'm asking who won the game. And I directed.
Yep.
So it doesn't, it's the production itself is just absorbing and a lot of fun. And I used to do IT. I was an IT manager for years, and a network administrator and software developer, and I enjoy this much more now. This is a lot of fun, and I'm really grateful for Felicia that she finds the really cool gigs. These are fun. I will admit I'm looking forward to doing something on site, but I know that day is going to someday come again, hopefully. It varies by state. Yeah, it kind of.
Yes.
I mean, I almost did a boxing event 3 weeks ago up in Wyoming, because it's Wyoming and there's 14 people and they don't get that close to each other. But um, actually, actually, the funny thing is that all the Colorado events have driven 2 hours north to Cheyenne. So a lot of the events that were based in Denver, boxing, martial arts, some of the other stuff, the promoters have simply relocated up to Cheyenne, and they don't have the same set of rules, they don't have the same restrictions, they don't have the same problems. So it's been kind of
Interesting.
interesting because where I live, I'm an hour between each. So it's like
Mhm.
an hour south of Denver, an hour north of Cheyenne. Who cares? Um,
Yeah.
but
But yeah, I want to bring back into the talk about the tools. I think we had this conversation today about bringing our clients in and understanding what technological threshold are they comfortable with.
oh yeah,
And so like yeah, I would love for you to speak more about that, about like what are the considerations that we have to be taking in as producers and engineers, and how we can make sure that everyone from any level can continue to connect.
there are some levels that it gets to be a challenge. If they're scared of the technology themselves, that becomes a bit of a challenge. But if you've got folks who are comfortable working with their browsers and switching between apps and whatnot, and can do PowerPoint and they're comfortable with that level, then it's really not that hard. It's just bring them into the vMix environment, walk them through make sure their camera and mics are set up, and then get their shots set up. Um, the easiest way to do it, honestly, is an iOS device, an iPhone, an iPad. But the problem with those is that you need some kind of mount so that you can set them up properly, and that you're not looking up, because even Kate Moss would look double chinned and fat if you've got this shot going. Um, so it's you just got to be mindful of what their comfort level is, what they have in front of them. Um, it's a lot easier when you can send them a production kit, or if you can get them into a studio, and then you just don't have to worry about that stuff. But for a lot of the folks, though, we really haven't had that much of a problem. It's only been a handful of folks who found it very, very challenging, and thankfully, about half of them have had someone else in the room that could take over, get them set up, and then step aside. Um, but really, if you're comfortable with the Firefox browser or the Chrome browser, it should be pretty simple.
Yeah. Well, great. I mean, like, really, I really appreciate the work that I've had with you thus far, Scott, in the sense that I think that a lot of it is trying to walk people through the door that is in real life to digital. And I feel that, like, between you and me, and of course Kevin, our partner here that I'm going to bring up soon, I believe that we're really trying to take care of everyone, and this is our way to show and care for people by bringing those who have been trying to do this amazing work, Climate Museum, CAM, Inside Lands, all these other organizations that we have the benefit to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel that we're really like walking them through something special to make sure that we're not losing anyone during this,
No.
and it. Yeah, I think a lot of people were thinking that retail and food, hospitality industry like took a hit, but literally everyone took a hit because everything needed to be moved digital. And so I just want
Oh,
to say thank you so much for being part of that ride.
yeah. No, talk about taking a hit. My business, well, it shut down. So now I'm with
Mhm.
Felicia. I mean, I when the lockdown happened, we lost 100%. So we had to
Yeah.
pivot very quickly, and thankfully, though, we had the tools, and some of the features of vMix that we never used became our most important features. Um,
Correct.
and it's just been wonderful. But it's just scratching the surface. There's going to be a lot
Mhm.
more to come, because I know that tools are being built specifically for web remote production. And right now we're making do with tools, but soon we'll have tools that are custom built for the task, and that will be fun.
Definitely. I mean, I know that I didn't want to spoil too much, but Scott and I have some things, and Kevin and I, we all have some things working behind the scenes, and we're really excited to be developing these amazing tools for further in connectivity and further the engagement here. So, Scott, thank you so much. I will see you in a few hours to continue the work that we've got going on for us.
We have more to do tomorrow. So thank you, and
Yep.
it's weird being on this side of the camera.
I know. And then now go back to the station and make sure that my audio is coming in clear.
I was doing
Thank
that
you
while
so
we
much,
talked.
Scott. All right. Appreciate you. See you in a bit.
Yep.
All right. Now, thank you. I want to say thank you again to Scott and the team here. Speaking of team, I do want to bring in the partner and co-founder of Tinycast, Kevin, here. Kevin, I'll bring you in really quick here. Hi, Kevin. How are you doing today?
Hey, how's it going?
Hi. I'm good. I'm good. Well, I really wanted to bring you in first and foremost to kind of just like go ahead and speak a little bit about your experience with TinyCast thus far, and of course, letting people know about our upcoming raffle as well as our next performer. So, Kevin, I'm gonna go ahead and hand it off to you.
Sure. Thanks, Felicia. Well, it's TinyCast was birthed during the pandemic, and we have been really, really blessed to have worked with fantastic clients and a great team around us that we've been working with for the past couple of years. We've had such an incredible journey so far, and it's only been 6 months. And Felicia's been a great lead when it comes to producing all these amazing shows. And Scott's been a great, as she said, voice from above, just kind of guiding the technical aspects of our shows and making sure we're all running pretty well. Today, I also wanted to inform everybody on the stream that we're actually having a raffle. We wanted to say thank you to the folks that have attended here at NCLF. And we put together a curated streaming accessories kit that you can actually potentially win by the end of today's show. You can enter at tiny.com/NCLF raffle. And enter it before the end of the show, and we'll announce it by the end who's won. It comes with a couple amazing things, from a ring light to a streaming microphone, amongst other things. And Felicia will talk more about that at the end of the show as well. But now I would like to intro our fantastic friend, composer, producer, overall amazing, talented guy, and my brother from another mother, Alan Chen.
Hey, Alan, you're on now.
Hey guys, I don't know if you can hear me right now. It looks like I'm live, but I'm not hearing any sound. So if I got muted before, could somebody please unmute me?
Sure thing.
There we go. Thank you so much. I didn't hear my intro, so here I am. My name's Alan Chen. I am going to play some music for you guys, and frankly, some of it's going to be kind of a journey. Because we've been all stuck inside for such a long time, and it's been kind of a transformative thing. So let me play a couple tracks for you, and then you see I got this violin right here. I'm not just holding it for fun. I'm just gonna play a few tracks. We'll talk a little bit, and then I'll kind of bring us into a different vibe after that. Okay. So here we go. This is the beginning of me in Shelter in Place, and you could tell I was kind of like starting to go crazy, but haven't gone crazy yet. So you hear it?
We actually don't. Do you think we can try to bring your the correct mic in? I think that's what we're having issues with right now.
Okay.
Great. You can also refresh if you think we, yeah.
Okay, let me refresh
Sure
real
thing.
quick.
In the meantime, Yeah, in the meantime, I do want to uplift again the raffle that we have coming up. That's at tiny.url/tiny NCLF. We're actually going to wait until we're going to close the enter for that until Friday a.m. and then we'll announce it on Friday evening. So please make your way over there, share with other people. Again, it's going to be a blue ice snowball microphone, a ring light, as well as the last item. I can't remember, but I will remember in a bit. That said, I'm going to bring back Alan Chen, who is the composer of the music for NCLF intros and outros there. And Alan, back to you.
All right, let's give it another try. I heard
Ooh.
about. There we go. So look, the stuff that you were giving out, that is so dope. That's like some streamer stuff right there. Very handy for the current circumstances. Let me see if you guys can hear this. It's probably going to be loud, so brace yourselves. Ready, go. Okay, thanks. Okay. So you can see, like, I was going stir crazy. You could tell by the way the music is. You know what I'm saying? Let me play you another one. This is kind of my journey here. This one, let's see. So this this is actually one I did later. I'll play that one later. Let me give you a taste of what I've been doing with the violin. So So you, in that one, you can kind of tell I found some kind of release, and big surprise. It happens to be me making beats and music on the computer. You know, we all have our own ways of dealing with what the current circumstances are, and I mean, I hope you all find yours. I'm sure you had by now. It just, I hope you find one that's really like close to your heart. You know, it's very important. You know, it's got to amplify you instead of keep you locked in yet another box inside this box. You know what I'm saying? Let me show you a little bit more of what I've been doing during all this time. So this one I actually put to a kung fu flick, and it's another one of my saxophone cuts. So if you guys liked that other one, you guys will probably like this one. All right. So like I don't know if you can tell, but like I wasn't really supposed to play in that last track, but that's what it kind of does to me. You know what I mean? Like when you connect with something like that, you kind of just have to play sometimes. And it's been a real experience, really like making music for like intros and outros and things, and the stuff that you guys have heard, you know, with all the Tinycast productions. And I've just been really, really glad to be part of it. It's been really fun. I'm going to play you out on another one. Y'all can just fade me out or whatever you want to do, but it was inspired by none other than that show Cobra Kai, which is hot fire right now. So let me just play that for y'all. Enjoy. And this has been Alan Chen, basically just like signing off now. But thank you for your time. Thank you for spotlighting me and making me feel appreciated. I'm glad to have shared this stage with y'all. There's always going to be another show.
Well, thank you so much, Alan Chen, for that amazing set. So that said, I'm going to be wrapping to the end of the program here. Again, I want to say thank you to all the amazing guests, working backwards, Alan Chen, Kevin Pogoni, Scott Sledgester, Trisha Brown, Don Young, and Jen Louie. Thank you all for those who joined us, the Tiny friends, the Tinycast friends. And, I just want to say thank you to everyone who tuned in. I think it's really what we're trying to do is just continue to connect. And I think there's so many more opportunities of what that is. It can't believe it's only been, but it's also have always been here now 6 months in shelter in place. And I hope you're doing what you need to be doing to take care of yourself. I have the full belief here with Tinycast that all you need to be really doing right now is surviving this pandemic, and if you're doing that and taking care of yourself, really all I can hope is that everything you're doing outside of that is aligned with your purpose and aligned with what you want in life. And so, I'm happy to say that Tinycast has really been a way for me to grow into the producer role that I've been wanting to do. And so thank you to everyone that again joined and supported me through here, and everyone who has supported me thus far and who will come to do so. We're just looking for ways to support everyone else in their communities to make sure they're still reaching out. So thank you all for coming again to this after party of NCLF, as well as a way to co-connect with each other. I'm Felicia Chenko, and I'm going to be signing off from the Tinycast studios. Have a good one.
Nice.
Thanks. I'm not sure if our audio is off to the outside, so let's